Hi everybody and welcome to the Property AI Report. This is your weekly digest of all things property and AI, brought to you by me, Mal McCallion, and my good friend and co-host Matt Goddard. Matt, how are you this week?
Buzzing. It's been a busy week already, hasn't it? I know we're Thursday morning at the moment, but it feels like it's been a fortnight since I last saw you on Tuesday.
It's been really crazy, but very good. And listen, congrats for your little twirl up on the stage at EA Masters on Tuesday. How'd it feel?
Yeah, twirly. I know you're used to treading those boardwalks, aren't you, and dancing around the stages. But how was it in the accelerator zone at EA Masters on Tuesday?
Good, yeah, really great event as ever. Really. Loads of great conversations, really great agents. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. But yes, we will talk a little bit more about that and other exhibitions and so on in a bit. But let's start, shall we, as we usually do, with our property news. Okay, so first up, big news in A&A. So LRG, after being very quiet for a little while, have suddenly announced the acquisition of one of the biggest estate agents out there, independent certainly, Northern Estate Agencies Group. Previously, Manning Stainton and Ryder and Dutton and Mortimer's, all separate, and then they were brought all together by Mark Manning and Russell. It's a big old beast, and LRG has acquired it for something undisclosed. But yeah, really big move by those guys, right?
That's exactly it. And up until now, as you sort of touched on there, Mark and the team at Manning Stainton, as it was before they acquired Ryder Dutton and Mortimer's and rebranded the sort of the holding company as Northern Estate Group. They've been acquisitive in their own right, as I say, buying Ryder Dutton, who were a similar sized company in Lancashire, to add to the very, very strong Yorkshire presence. And I don't think it's doing anyone else a disservice by saying they're probably the biggest agency network in Yorkshire. Lindley and Simpson previously became part of Lomond, and at one stage you might have said 10 years ago Preston Baker were in the mix before they sort of scaled back and then sort of turned into a self-employed model. But it's great for obviously Mark Manning's dad Russell started the company and has been very heavily involved in it. It sounds like Russell's going to continue as a consultant for a while, and Mark staying in that sort of seat. I expect sort of similar to Neil Louth did with Acorn down in sort of the London region, and it'd be interesting to see how that progresses and whether they start to fold in other businesses as part of that sort of growth strategy. And congratulations to them, and interesting to watch that next chapter.
Yeah, listen, and I think it is. It's quite interesting because of this lull. Really, that there hasn't been the kind of the big sort of acquisitions that seem to have kind of been taking place, reasonably regularly. Throughout sort of last year and the year before. It's been a bit quieter for the last sort of 3 or 4 months. But yes, this is obviously big and chunky, and suggests that perhaps there is that confidence that next year is going to be significant. LRG, again, sort of pushing more and more businesses into the kind of mothership, and sort of taking big strides going into very, as you mentioned, sort of Lindley and Simpson territory and Lomond territory, and kind of almost taking a big swipe at that. I can't imagine that Lomond wouldn't have been interested in that business as well, because it is right in the heart of where they operate. Big win for LRG. Really interesting strategy, and obviously great for Manning Stainton and everybody working there as well, I'd say.
Yeah, very much so.
All right, so that is all about the acquisition side. Product development side, really impressive AI that came out from Street last week. So if you haven't seen it, the Street AI launch, caught up with Heather briefly and Tom at EA Masters on Tuesday as well. Really impressive what they've done here. So if you are a member of Street, then you get access to numerous different AI products and services that are kind of baked into the Street platform. These include things like some virtual staging. They've got voice. They've got loads of other stuff that you can just kind of click and play around with. And I just think it's really great to see that a business as significant as this and a CRM as significant as this is really going all in on AI. And obviously we talk often, every week, in fact, about AI and its potential and what it can do. And this just really brings it home that this is going to be mainstream. It's going to be floor plans of days of old. It's going to be quality photos. It's going to be virtual tours. This is real stuff, and it's very important that agents kind of understand it, and that it is something that they are looking to deploy, because consumers are increasingly going to kind of expect it. What was your take on what they're up to?
Firstly, before we sort of jump into the street examples, it's watching as we become more and more just au fait with AI being part of what we do day in, day out. I always refer to that spell checker example where it started off at the end of a process. You would say run the spell checker and pick out the words that you dealt with and needed reviewing, and then a red squiggly line started to appear, and now you get that sort of auto completion, don't you, in terms of the AI sitting within the email or Word document or whichever that you're working on. And as we evolve, I use HubSpot with a number of companies I work with, and they've got Breeze AI, which you can add a widget onto your overview that summarizes everything on the page, so you don't have to dig through the notes and the emails and the various contact engagements. And it's those sort of AI usages that just are becoming day in, day out. And it will get to a stage where a product is a product and you just assume AI is involved rather than we've added AI to X, Y, and Z. Because obviously it has been around for a while, and there's companies like Propic over in Australia and NerdCloud out there that have been doing machine learning and propensity modeling since 2017, 2018. And it goes right back to the 1950s, doesn't it? So machine learning and neural net. So it's becoming AI is sort of a term we're using now and bandying around. But even one of the things Street's using is a tool called Auto Enhance. It's built by a guy called Jamie, and actually Jamie's involved and as chair at Adrian Gill, who I think you caught up with on Tuesday. And that very much, it takes your images and changes the grey skies to blue skies and uses sort of your AI to work through that. And Street's usages are really sort of, as you'd expect, slick, but also simple. So one of them is an overview of all the activity on a screen to help you sort of get a good summary of what's going on without having to read through those notes. There's the bits you just alluded to, the auto enhancing of images. And then the really interesting one for me anyway was the introduction of voice AI to start answering calls. So very similar to what Moneypenny and the artist formerly and Modelprop. I was going to say the artist formerly known as Modelprop because you changed your T-shirt, but Modelprop's still involved with voice AI. And so it's bringing that into like the CRM context as well, which was one of them. I think in the way that the street marketing tends to be as well, there's some quite cute, almost cheeky elements where woven into the 4 big AI bits where this is how you create a task for sales progression, which you could argue isn't AI if you're choosing the date and time and entering a note. But really, really smart and slick, and obviously very well done to them. They took home 4 awards on Tuesday night, and including Best Prop Tech as well.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that they're, we can allow them that kind of, old school task kind of thing in amongst all of the other AI stuff. Because it was just super impressive, and continue to kind of take a lead in how agents will be using CRM systems going forward. So well done to them, and congratulations to them for all their wins as well on Tuesday night. Okay, we are going to just dip very quickly into what has been announced. So we announced this week, those that kind of have been following a little bit, and thank you to all that have. We've been out doing the Right Move Resistance Tour for a little while, and we've now launched the brand, which is My Porta, MYPORTA, which I can bore you with the etymology of at another time. But I just want to talk about the video that we produced, because that's the kind of really, for us, kind of building this sort of stuff. Obviously, we spend a lot of time in AI, we spend a lot of time making sure the products are right and all that sort of thing. But we used VO 3.1, which is Google, to create this video. And again, if you want to search it up, My Porta, and search up our video on YouTube, it is completely AI. Okay, so it's got a character called Mia in it. She's got a cat. She's looking for property, and everything in it is completely AI. And it blew our minds when we were creating it in terms of what is possible now. But just kind of the pace at which these things are moving. And we'll talk a little bit about the weird AI of the week further on with video from Coca-Cola. But it is just incredible. If you look back even like 6 months, a year, what is now possible, and what's going to be possible this time next year. But look, as part of our kind of drive to help you out there to experience more kind of AI in the wild and actually how it can be deployed, you can make brand ads just using AI. All right, and it is phenomenal. So, for your agency, for whatever business you're in, have a look at VO and just kind of think about, what you might want to kind of script up, because it is so good and relatively straightforward to build. So yeah, I don't know if you've been playing around with any of the sort of stuff.
I watched your video because I think you sent it over to me several times until I commented, and you prompted me, and it wasn't just a yes, that's nice, Mal. But if that was VO 3.1 that you used for that, was it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So and it's a fantastic video, and so what VO did when it launched onto the scene was it brought along the voice syncing, which up until the video generation hadn't been doing that. And so, but also we've talked recently about Sora, and Sora's latest release as well has got the addition to Sora that's come along is it's not just that you could do yourself. There's the cameo feature where you can put yourself out there for people to create videos around you, but they've now also brought it in for pets and toys as well, haven't they? So it could be, we could get Mabel, my sausage, Jack Russell into various things. We could get whatever toy it is you've got lurking in the background there and add them into videos. And as you say, we'll come on to it in the video /word AI of the week, but the creative process is still there. You can still think through the storyboard and what you want to be doing, but it allows companies with smaller budgets to actually produce really slick looking videos. And obviously you've done one as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And that really is the takeout. And for those listening, that's what you should be having a look at is actually what you can do now without paying big budgets for actors and, people setting scenes and videographers and all that sort of stuff. It is phenomenal. And yeah, look, we've got another couple coming out over the next 2 weeks with different characters and so on. But yeah, again, it's just really mind blowing what's possible. But yes, we are here to make a difference with My Porter. And yeah, if anybody obviously wants to find out more about it, then they can just reach out to me separately. But that's something that did catch all of the different news sites in our property space over the week, so we felt we had to talk about it. Other things that are out there in the property world, it's exhibition season, isn't it? And event season, pretty much. So we've got the Voice of the Agent coming up on Friday as well, haven't we, Matt? Are you going to get?
That's it. I'm not going to be there, but I understand you're speaking, and the Voice of the Agent's sort of front and centre is Simon Ledbetter, isn't it? And he did his tour over the course of last year, going around and giving however many decades of marketing experience he's got in a very concise and succinct training session, and all the feedback was exceptional. And I was really gutted I couldn't make it along, Tony. So it's great that he's now putting on this conference, and the lineup sounds brilliant, and you're going to be there too. So it's certainly one I'm disappointed not to be able to attend.
Yeah, no, I'm going to completely geek out on this because it's at Bletchley Park, which you alluded back to the 50s and kind of Turing and stuff like that. So this is where they broke the code of the Enigma and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to completely geek out on all the kind of AI stuff going back for decades and decades. I believe you can actually sign up to watch it remotely as well. So again, have a little look at that. But yeah, that's going to be good fun. And looking forward to that. It's tomorrow. This week is absolutely hammered by Anna. Right, and that is our property news for this week. Let us cover our AI and tech news now. Right, so I spoke last week at probably way too much length about OpenAI's transformation into a for-profit from a not-for-profit. So I'm not going to speak about this, but they are going to do something else, aren't they, Matt?
They are indeed, Matt. And so you set it up nicely last week. It was just getting the restructuring work to go from the not-for-profit to profit business. And I think it concluded on the Friday, actually. And pretty much immediately talk began of doing a stock market IPO with a sort of a prepping of a 1 trillion, which is a lot of zeros afterwards. And I think it'd be the first ever IPO at that sort of level, wouldn't it? And it'd take them into being one of the biggest companies in the world at that stage. And obviously that's what the restructuring was all about. And as part of that restructuring, the not-for-profit has retained a decent chunk of the business in terms of the profit business. Microsoft has diluted its holding, but still holds 100 billions worth of shares at that sort of level. Excuse me. And sort of it's gearing up, though, just this morning, or at our time last night in America, the CFO came out saying, actually, no, we're not doing that. But it's clear that they're putting the groundwork in place, they're gearing up for it. And that's what the whole sort of toing and froing and the legal battles with Musk and everything was lining up for, really, wasn't it?
you don't do all this if you're not going to float at some stage. So yeah, they're kind of building it up and then poo-pooing it, and just the kind of classic sort of no, don't look over here. No, we're not doing anything, honestly. So I think it's going to be huge. It's going to be possibly the most significant kind of AI first business ever. Just you think about what Google did with the when the internet came along, is that sort of scale and size. I think it's going to be hugely impressive. So
there's going to be a lot of people jumping in trying to acquire those shares, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be playing out over the months and weeks ahead. We've also got a story about another of the big frontier labs. So Anthropic has got a really neat little tool, hasn't it? And this is, I imagine, pretty much everybody out there will use Excel. And now Claude has got a nice little widget that really helps, man.
That's it. I'm an Excel geek. You talked about being a geek on various other things. I used to crunch a lot of numbers in my days at Foxtons. I think if it was a job title was bandied around back then, I'd have been almost a data analyst / data scientist in terms of what we did, because we were pulling figures out of various sources and then crunching them all together. And it was what was gearing up to be a sale when I was still there, and became the IPO after I left. And a lot of it was, if I'm honest, we want to bring together a load of figures, make some interesting bits out of it. So you Google it, work out how to do the formula, and then pull it back over into Excel. And now with Claude, we've got the ability to do all that in line with your Google Sheets. And it's a real marker, because it's, from what I've read, and there's a waiting list to get this in place. Is Claude's actually within Excel is more powerful and more extensive than Copilot within Excel. So Anthropic have really laid down a marker to go after that sort of financial services sector, where the number crunchers are still working in Excel alongside Python and other things.
Yeah, exactly that. And I doubt anybody listening has never used Excel. It's just so kind of powerful and multi-use and general purpose. But there are also, I imagine that every single one of those people has had some frustration with some formula. You're sitting there staring at these numbers going, why the hell isn't this doing what I want it to do? How can I make it happen? And spend, hours of their lives they're never going to get back trying to work out these very simple steps within Excel. So yeah, this just basically smashes it and just does it. And as you say, it's a Microsoft product, Excel, and Microsoft's Copilot AI is supposed to be dealing with all this sort of stuff. But yeah, Claude is just is smashing it up. So yeah, well worth a little look for those that are still struggling shoulders deep in their spreadsheets. That's Claude for Excel. All right, we're going to talk Apple. Because Apple Intelligence has taken quite the pounding over the last 2 to 3 years since their big kind of announcement, and then the massive damp squib that it became. But they're talking trillions as well, aren't they? Lots of zeros. 1.2 trillion. This time it's parameters, and they're getting into bed with Google Gemini very specifically.
That's it, and it's been an interesting one as it plays out, hasn't it? Because it's a case of there was ChatGPT is what's on our phones at the moment. If you're using Apple, and you get handed off by Siri if Siri can't answer the question, and you wait, and it's still a bit of a frustrating experience. And I know you use your Mac, and if you think actually it'd be great just to use Apple Intelligence to summarize something that's lurking on my Mac, it doesn't really do it for you. But they're working with Gemini, and actually it sounds like a fairly significant deal that they're going to put in place to power that new Siri. But at the same time, they're also still in bed with ChatGPT, and they're still talking to Anthropic about doing something as well. So it sounds like they're being very promiscuous with what might work for them. And why not? Because they need to do something significant to catch up, don't they?
They do, and they still boss the device market, don't they, with the iPhone? So for all of these businesses, it is very lucrative and important to be part of that kind of that platform environment and be able to reach however many billion iPhone customers there are. But I think it does feel a little bit like they're kind of it's a little sort of pageant of different AIs kind of wandering up and down, a bit like you on the stage on Tuesday, and just kind of seeing which one is going to be the one that they want to kind of in the end solidify their relationship with. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Still slightly kind of like, is it really going to be any good? Is it really going to kind of be what it could and perhaps should have been, right? Imagine that you were just able to talk to Siri like you could talk to ChatGPT and just kind of, just talk to it, chat with it. If they'd have done that 2-3 years ago, they would absolutely have just owned it. So yeah, I am prepared for more disappointment and will be happily surprised if it's actually good. All right. So that is our AI and tech news for this week. We're now going to dive into our tool of the week. Now, this is hot off the press. This is Google Maps. Again, something that I'm sure many people use who are listening in. And they've got a new feature where they've baked Google Gemini into Google Maps, as you might expect. And by the way, Apple, this is how to do integrations. It's really good. And essentially, it improves navigation. For me, the bit that caught my eye is that you can actually ask it questions as you're going past stuff. Now, again, regular listeners will know that when I was doing the Right Move Resistance tour over the summer, I discovered that essentially you can just chat to ChatGPT all the way up and down like various motorways and A roads and B roads. And if you see something interesting, you can just ask it what it is. And it's really, really good. So now Google has got this inside Google Maps. Okay, so you load up Google Maps and then you can actually just start, tap on the speaker, and then you can actually start talking to it and asking questions, and it will talk to you about things that are roadworks that are coming up and all that sort of thing. So yeah, for those that travel around, or for those that just like to know what on earth that particular castle on a hill is as they go past it, this is really good. And if you're going into an area, as an agent, and perhaps you don't know it as well as you might like to, then being able to as you go into a viewing, being able to gen up on exactly what it is that's around you, what this particular street, what particular, features are, how far away things are, that sort of stuff, then you can really use it to enrich your conversation when you get into that viewing and be even more knowledgeable about what the local area is. So yeah, I just think this looks really, really cool.
See, I'm driving home for Christmas to quote Chris Rea, and I'm quite looking forward to Gemini helping me along that route. And I know that when you were on the Resistance tour and you were talking about whichever A road it was you were going down, I always think back to that huge satellite dish in Cheshire and trying to remember what is the actual name for the Jodrell Bank Observatory. But you'll be able to do it on Friday, will you, as you head over to Bletchley Park, although that's quite a short drive for you.
I'd say about an hour, yeah, but no, exactly that, yes. And I will be chatting away all about Bletchley Park, so when I get there, I know exactly which rooms I can kind of go around after the event. Stuff
you
like
won't just be watching the Cumberbatch film about it all.
Yes, exactly. We do that as well. Good stuff. All right, that's our tool of the week. We did want to dive into our occasional series of weird AI of the week. And Matt, it's all about Christmas AI adverts, isn't it?
So it's to do with Coca-Cola, very specifically. So last year, Coca-Cola took a panning because for the first time ever, they created their Christmas advert using AI. And obviously Christmas, as we've come to know it, is pretty much down to Coca-Cola and the red Santa and moving away from the traditional green one all those years ago. And it was at the time it was quite innovative, but looking back, you can tell it's AI. There's sort of that sheen to the faces that sort of scream it, and the people created by it. And Coca-Cola sort of lent into it by creating the Christmas ad again this year with AI, but also moved away from having humans in. It's just animals in this one, apart from Santa, and also preempted any backlash by saying everyone doing the voices in the singing, it's all real people singing real words. But it's have you had a chance to actually watch it yet?
I haven't actually, no. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I wonder if it's going to be this kind of almost watching the Coke ads Christmases past in 5 years' time is going to be sort of like, this is how video has improved over the years. You can actually kind of see the progress until such time as it's indistinguishable. Yeah. And at that point, maybe they won't be paying the singers and the voice actors and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's. I remember last year's one, and yeah, it was, as you say, kind of very waxy and very kind of like a little bit wince-inducing because it wasn't great. So yeah, no, looking forward to seeing how they have improved this year.
I don't think you'll have a tear in your eye like with the John Lewis one, or maybe you'll have a tear in your eye for a different reason. I thought it wasn't bad, but then The Verge said it's sloppy eyesore, so a bit of a Marmite on this.
Yeah, have you seen the John Lewis one this year?
I haven't. You have to wait until the tree goes up. The order of things is Home Alone is put on the telly while the tree goes up, and then you can actually start playing Christmas songs.
That's it,
but that's only on a Friday at 1 p.m.
This weekend, is that what is happening?
Yes. Well, Morrison's got all their advent calendars out. They have done for the last 2 months, so surely that means it's Christmas now.
Absolutely crazy. Anyway,
for those who haven't turned off.
Pardon?
Those who haven't turned off.
Absolutely. But yeah, the John Lewis ad, I really enjoyed it. It is a bit of a throwback. It's kind of like Dad being thrown back into kind of 90s ravey kind of stuff. So yeah, it's very good, well worth a look. Yeah, look, that is our rather nostalgic, suddenly, view of Weird AI of the Week. All right, that's all we've got time for, because it's Thursday and we need to get this out. And we're very sorry this is late. Sorry, everybody. And we will be back to our usual, when I say usual, most frequent timing of Tuesday next week. So listen, thanks very much indeed, everybody, for listening in. We look forward to catching up with everybody next week. Until then, have an amazing few days. Thanks, Matt, as well.
Take care, everyone.